right. Welcome, friends, to the Reimagine You Lab Podcast. It is me, MG, and you know how we do this. We are always going to have some amazing guests, and today is no doubt it's going to be a good one. You guys, y'all got to get ready for Leo because Leo is just that type of dude. But before we jump in, I want to make sure that I want to thank you first for helping us to do wonderful on the show. You guys, we have hit 11,000 subscribers on YouTube. We are over 13,000 on Instagram, and then our total audience and everything across Spotify and Apple Music and Google Music and all that stuff. Y'all, I'm like, thank you for tuning in. And if this is your first time tuning into a show, I want to invite you to hit the subscribe button because every Friday we send out a new video, or not even a video. You get a new interview with somebody else amazing. So you don't want to miss it, and share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues, your neighbors. Invite them all. They will enjoy this. I promise you. And with that, I got to tune in now because I don't want to take up too much time doing all of I have to do the housekeeping things, but I want to get to the interview with this guest. It is the Leo Wills. Hello, Leo.
Hey, Michelle. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Doing
awesome.
Great.
All right. So, Leo, I told you before we came into the studio, Leo, I'm going to kick it over to you and I'm going to tell them because we go beyond the bio here. So tell them who you are, where you're at, what you do, and how you do it. You got it?
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, a lot to just drop on me, but I'll do my best.
All right.
So where to start? Leo Wills, and Leo Wills. I guess my greatest hits and claim to fame. Some of your listeners might know of my company, which was. I'm the founder of a manufacturing company, who built cold equipment for the beverage industry. And we built a small company, started out, and it turned into the biggest distributor and producer for the biggest beverage companies in the world. We actually are have number one market share now for Pepsi and Coca-Cola, Monster. We service the entire beverage industry, and built quite a successful business that has gone global because obviously those are global customers, and so that was a lot of fun. So I live in California, Los Angeles area, and here with my family, and just have been here most of my life. I started off in Kansas City, and moved here at a fairly young age. So, educated here and went to college, et cetera, et cetera. So that's sort of my background.
No, that's perfect, Leo. Thank you for that because you're being introduced to some folks. Some may know you, but I think it's notable because Leo, you've done something that a lot of people have not been able to do. You've built a global brand by supporting global brands, right?
Absolutely.
When you think of Pepsi and Coca-Cola, that is the market share for soft drinks, right?
Right.
And then they picked up water and energy drinks and all kinds of other stuff. And so, I think the people gonna tune in because they probably want to know how you did all that, right?
I don't know if I have a recipe for how to do it, but it was quite a fun ride and build, and the company obviously still goes today. It's still thriving today. So
it's a legacy company because your daughter works there, right?
Yep, that's right.
So Leo, let's start at the beginning though. So what sparked your entrepreneurial journey, and how did IDW come to be even?
Well, IDW isn't the first company, nor is it the oldest company, that I still own. So I actually started in business. My first entrepreneurial experience was in the
That
printing
consolidate.
business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Consolidated Services, Container and Display, and we were printing and packaging company, printing and packaging broker, who grew to become to have a very select and prestigious clientele, customers, for
Mm-hmm.
many years. And IDW was born out of a need to change and expand uh,
Mm-hmm.
my my opportunities and horizons. The printing business changed dramatically over the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with the advent of computers and things that we used to do for our clients, they were able to sort of do for themselves and do instantly. So again, and even in that business, I had a national clientele. The biggest consumer product uh, company in the world was my one of my best customers, and I was one of their best vendors, Nestle. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's where I cut my teeth on dealing with uh, you know major consumer product companies and big customers and clients, and sort of learning how to exist and um, thrive within companies like that.
Oh, that's beautiful. So Leo, so I know that success leaves footprints, right? But before Consolidated or with IDW even, were there any like um things that you tried that were not as successful? Or early lessons. Let me say that early lessons that may
Yeah.
have shaped your mindset as you move forward.
Well, I think the earliest lessons for me were really didn't come in the space uh, of entrepreneurship, of
Hmm.
business. The earliest lessons I learned, I think, in sports. I think I
Okay.
was an athlete, and played basketball at a competitive level, very competitive level. NC2A Division II basketball,
Hmm.
uh, and I earned a scholarship, that educated me at the University of California at Riverside. So that was, I think, where I learned some of my greatest life lessons. About all of it, about competing, winning, losing. How to deal with that, how to recover, how to process good things and bad things. But entering business with knowledge of an understanding of competition and tough situations, et cetera. That training, that background, that footprint is, I think, something that has always stayed with me, even to this day.
Yeah, no, that's good. How'd you fare out thinking of basketball? How'd you fare out with the Pacers and the OKC? Which team were you rooting for?
Well, I'm not from either one, so I didn't have a dog in that fight. But it was, for a basketball fan, uh, ratings wise, two pretty small market teams and all of that.
Mhm.
It probably didn't, break the bank with the number of eyeballs.
Yeah.
But if you
Mhm.
love basketball and if you were a basketball fan, you had to really appreciate the level of competition from both of those teams. They were phenomenal, and of course, the players, the athletes of today, are just incredible to watch. So it was must see TV if you were a sports fan, and particularly a basketball fan. It was just some of the best basketball you'll ever see.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Really good, really good. So Leo, thinking about building, consolidated IDW, what was the problem? A lot of times you hear when people are starting out in business and things like that, they're starting out with, hey, what's the problem that we're solving? Like how did you stay focused on that, like even during like those periods of of growth?
Well, I don't know that. I certainly understand your question in the sense of,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think when you're to the place where you're solving a problem, you it's sort of a different thing. You're in a different area of what you do. Initially, coming out of school and everything, I really was just looking for employment, and I wanted to be, employed.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be successfully employed.
Mm-hmm.
So I had opportunities presented to me that were attractive to me. And I tell anybody this, I tell people this all the time that want to start out, or, and create something or start something on their own. Listen, start wherever you go in your, and I tell my children this, I mean, your work experience,
Mm-hmm.
just learn something from the work experience at whatever level you enter it, and at whatever uh, vocation that you try. You might not like it at first, or you might not like where you are, but you learn a lot from every single experience, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you just enter whatever that experience is, and if it happens to be something that you like to do, or you find that you like to do, or that you have an aptitude to do, I think the opportunities come from you maybe figuring out how to do the thing better than the experience that you're experiencing. So, that really comes to you, in my mind. If you have any type of hunger or entrepreneurial mind, that comes quite easily to see where
Mm-hmm.
you can succeed within something that you know something about,
Right.
better than the situation that you're in.
Mhm. No, I love that. Being able to identify gaps potentially and yeah, make it better.
Right. Exactly. And that's where I think that's where a lot of opportunities lie. And I think a lot of people make a mistake of being romanticized by the idea of just being their own boss for
Mhm.
something, but they're totally not. Um, they don't know enough about what they want to do or try and do. I mean, you don't leave. You work at some place that at UPS or something, and then you want to open up an ice cream shop. I mean, because it's yours. I mean, it's not quite that simple, right? I mean, you
Mhm.
do something that you know something about, and that you can maybe do better than the place that you're presently employed. In my case, I was mentored by a person in the packaging business who taught
Mhm.
me an awful lot, almost everything that I knew. Certainly everything I knew about printing and packaging.
Yeah.
But the way that he ran his business was not the way that I would envision running my own.
Mhm.
So there were gaps. There were things that say, well, if
Mhm.
I owned it, this is what I would do, and
Right.
this is how I would be different. I took the good things that I learned from what he did, and there was plenty of that. But then I changed things to, I made a company, and I've always built companies that treat people the way that I always felt that I would want to be treated, and that would be sort of my guiding star in terms of
Yeah.
my whole attitude towards the business and towards what I was doing. If it's something that I would have
Mhm.
created as an employee, that's what I tried to do for my people as well.
Yeah, no, that's really the golden benefit. Like when you do that, it really makes people loyal. They stick around longer. They, are willing to go the extra mile and things like that, which
Well,
is invaluable, right?
100%, 100%, especially in the service business, when you're in the business of, of serving people, and customer service and attention to details, et cetera.
Mhm.
You need a dedicated team, not somebody, just, collecting backing up to collect a paycheck.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I've been very fortunate in that sense through my
Yeah.
my working career.
Yeah. And that's a difference maker too. So I
Mhm.
want to ask you a question, kind of thinking about something you just said, as it relates to, finding something, maybe that you have been doing and how you can enhance it, or not just necessarily finding something, like, hey, I want this, I want to do this, and because it's mine, my name is on the shingle.
Mhm.
But I hear a lot of times people run into challenges when it's time to do something different, right, with the business that they've started, or they've gotten in and they kind of hold it near and dear to their hearts, like, this is my baby, and but
Mhm.
the baby never gets an opportunity to grow up, you
Right.
know
Right.
and so what would you say to those who kind of have a framework or a frame of mind that, hey, this is my baby, and I'm gonna hold on to it, but I never really give it a time or an opportunity to grow, because
Yeah.
either the way they manage it or the way they think about it. How would you tell people they should be looking at, or give them a different point of view?
Well, as it pertains to me, and Michelle, this, there's not one formula that fits all ever for
Absolutely.
almost anything.
Absolutely.
But in my case, I mean, this goes, I think, all the way back to um, where we started the conversation, and it was just in my breeding and my upbringing, in business, and it goes all the way back to being part of a team and
Mhm.
understanding a team concept. And as a founder and as an entrepreneur or whatever, um,
Mhm.
the need to control is very tricky, and I think that um, you have to have really parameters that you really understand as you're taking this on. And by that I mean, let's use your
Mhm.
analogy. It's your baby.
Mhm.
Well, yes, it starts out and it is your baby, and you have to do everything. You're sweeping floors, you're making calls, you're packing things to go out the back door, and you're doing all of that. But the goal is to grow your business.
Okay.
And if you're holding the baby and you've got the baby around the neck, well, the baby starts to grow and get big. If you don't release, you wind up choking the baby. And
Mhm.
so, one of the things that founders, particularly, uh, a lot of them that fail, do is they don't release. They don't allow others to come in and go around and allow the business to grow. With leadership, sometimes that involves changing the role, and delegating, and your concentration is in making the best hires, the best additions to your company, the best people that you can find, and then giving them, making good decisions there, and making them, helping them, and being involved in helping them make better decisions for your business. But you having to have the wherewithal to allow people to 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 be good, to be great, to dare to be as good as you are, and releasing that is a matter of, I would always say, in my companies, we just don't have room for egos. And egos is
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
very bad thing in a business, in a company, and especially a growing company, because where you have egos, again, you have the effect of people, creating and trying to control
Mhm.
things that they shouldn't be. And the best result is just allowing your your vision, your process, your system to continue to work, and being focused on that goal of where you want to go. And to be able to get there, you have to release some things, and some things you control and some things you hold on to. But knowing when to do that and how to do that is the difficult part of being a CEO, or being the key decision maker, because it lives and dies with the decisions
Mhm.
that you give other people power in your company to make decisions, and to expand and to grow. are departments, there are specialty, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for all of it. So
For all of it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's finding that balance. Leo, was there like a defining moment when you knew with IDW or Consolidated that we've got something big here?
Oh yeah, sure. But it again, it always starts, Michelle, with having goals
Mm-hmm.
and being goal oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was always goal oriented, and again, tying it back to sports and basketball. You start out the season, and you'd love to win the national championship, but you're not going to win the national championship until you win league. Then you win league, then you've got to win the regional, and then when you're in regional, now you get into the tournament, the championship tournament. I mean, but it's eye on the prize, eye on the goals, and taking those steps towards that are very important. So you always want to be directed in the first place by the right things,
Right.
and I've said to my kids and anybody that ever asked me that while money and wealth or whatever is a wonderful thing to measuring stick, report card, it's really just that. It's not the primary goal. When we make money our primary goal, then we wind up chasing, I would say, false idols. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what your pursuit should be is your goal. Um, your goals defined and outlined, and you do whatever you can do to continue to move the company that way. And sometimes that means that you have to take a step back to do the right thing. In other words, every transaction isn't necessarily a profit, transaction to transaction basis, but it might be the right thing to do
Right.
for your business, for your customer, and for your
Mm-hmm.
future. So you sometimes you take a hit, sometimes you take a haircut. If you run a restaurant and somebody sends the meal back, you don't fight them over why they didn't like it, or argue the point that you didn't do anything wrong. You just say, man, can I offer you something else on the menu? And
Mm-hmm.
and 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 try to you take that loss, but
Yeah.
you save that customer. So
Right.
in businesses, it's really the same way. It's never just a direct line up. There's peaks and valleys and a plateau here and there, but that's just the nature of the beast.
Nature of the beast. No, it is. You get in, and that's what it's like. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna go to like thinking around pivoting and changing, and even you recently, a few years ago, you sold IDW. And so, what went into the decision to sell, and how did you know that it was the right time? You know.
Yeah, well, I think it goes into sort of what we were talking about, and again,
Mhm.
it's not hard because it's really the same theme, and that's the goal. And so we had built a company, and I did have a partner. It was a partner and
Yeah.
myself. We built a company that achieved some things that even exceeded our our expectation,
Mhm.
but didn't surprise us once we really, every uh, level that you go is a pleasant surprise, but it really is where you were always headed in the first place. And so
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
we got to a point where we had an offer, or we had offers. Someone approached us and said, "Hey guys, I think it might be time for you guys to consider, um, you know, in involving the company in a process and seeing what the market would offer you for it. And I remember being completely stunned at the numbers, that started coming in once our company was on the market. And we, at that point, we were just, the numbers reached a point that it satisfied, it was sort of represented the ultimate for us, to my partner and I, and me personally. It was an opportunity to realize the fruits of what I built. So that it just really hit me. The opportunity was right in my, staring me right in the eye, and it was finally a time for me to say, okay, then let's go ahead and do this, because not that I didn't think I could ever do better, but you don't chase rainbows forever, and that's part of the decisions that you make too, is sort of realizing that, okay, well, maybe now is the time. And so we were offered a number that made sense and helped us realize, now if we can do that, that represented success to us.
Yeah, no, that's always, and kudos to you and to Nate, what you guys built, and yeah, you do get to actually, you're rewarded now, right?
Right.
For the work that you've done. It's not like it was just handed to you.
Right.
You guys worked and you put it together. So, Leo, you have to tell me now, like, so many founders kind of struggle with identity after selling their companies, right? Like that baby that they were held for a while, now that we sold it. So how did you navigate that? Was there an emotional shift for you that you had?
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. And, my situation, speaking of me individually, my partner and I had an opportunity. We totally believed in the company, and we totally, we loved this company. We literally built it from nothing, from a company that, we started off with 4 employees, or 4 of us. I mean, I'm including my partner and I as employees. So there was 4 of us in in an office, in a cubicle, and built the company to, 2 manufacturing, or 2 distribution facilities on each coast, the East and the West, and 300,000 feet of warehouse space, and all of that stuff. And so, and all of these people, but and it's your name. It's our original logos. It's everything is originally how we started the business. So it'll always be our business. But I did have the opportunity to retain some ownership with the new partners. The people that paid us out gave us an opportunity, if we wanted to, retain a percentage of the company. So my partner and I sit on the board for the private equity group that bought us. We sit on that board. We offer leadership to the new CEOs and the new executive team of the company. By the way, all of those people we picked for the company. So yeah, so they were people that we had already hired, and they basically stepped into our seat and our shoes, and kept things going. And as you mentioned earlier, my daughter was in running operations for the business, which obviously is the nuts and bolts of any company. So she stayed on there. So I'm still invested. It's not something that, it's not in my past. I'm still involved. The company is continuing to grow. It continues to grow now. It's frankly, it's worth almost twice as much now as it was when I sold it. So it's good for everybody. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard because every time I go to a store, or go to a gas station, go to a convenience store, and want something cold out of the cooler. have a cooler, I see my name. I see our name. So
Yeah.
it'll be that, you know, in perpetuity.
Yeah, I know. Every time I go to a store and look at the coolers and stuff too, I'm checking out and get me a drink. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
Leo.
Yep. Yeah. Our coolers are always prominently displayed. The
They are.
IDW badge at the bottom or somewhere
Yeah,
on the floor is always there. Yeah.
yeah. Nice, nice. So, were you? So, what surprised you, or what has surprised you most about, you know, you still sit on the board, still pretty actively, engaged in, in supporting the business and things like that. Has there anything that has surprised you about, you know, not going in every day, or, being able to do something different, look at something different? Is there anything about you that you didn't know that you realize now, having made the switch?
Yeah. I think that I didn't realize how much I would miss the grind, how much I would miss, you know, just having something to do every single day that I wake up, what I would consider constructive. I mean, I play golf and I love golf. And I think probably initially as the euphoria of, selling the company and, and coming into that kind of realization, realizing a dream financially,
Mhm.
um, but realizing that that's not enough. I mean,
Mhm.
I think that I probably fantasized that I would just play golf every day and, and lay in bed as long as I want and, and all that, and
Mhm.
take my wife to breakfast every day, whatever. But
Right.
that's all those things are nice, but that's not what drives me. And I felt like I needed to be driven a little bit more every day. I just wanted to, you know, um, again, like I said, I'm IDW day to day was gone, and that the burden, the challenge of that every day, not having that, yeah, left a big crater.
Yeah.
So, again, I had another opportunity.
I was gonna say, like, you didn't sit on the sidelines very long.
No, 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 I didn't, an opportunity came my way, very just a fascinating um, opportunity that I was able to found another company on the ground floor, uh,
Mhm.
and it's in a completely different field. The concert. Basically, we're in the concert and
Entertainment.
live entertainment business, and so that's been crazy. Um, yeah. So
That was enough of getting you back in the grind, right? Like being able to.
yes, yes. It's yeah. That's enough. There's again. I work with some really brilliant uh, people,
Mhm.
co-founders,
Mhm.
uh, who are actually involved in the day-to-day operations and the business. It's a company. It's called Prevent Medical Solutions,
Mhm.
and what we do, Michelle, is we are EMS providers, emergency medical service providers for um, mass gatherings. And
Mhm.
our biggest customer, I've always had a history in any business that done is
Mhm.
always dealing with the biggest customers in the space. And the
Yeah.
biggest customer in the space of concerts and live entertainment in the country, in the world, is Live Nation.
Mhm.
And my new company secured we're on our second year of a 3-year contract exclusive to their festival division, which is Insomniac.
Mhm.
So we run all of the EMS for these large large raves and concerts and so
Mhm.
on. I mean, we we basically build all of the medical needs from physicians to nurses to paramedics
Mhm.
to EMTs to um, everything required to take care of the attendees of these events. And
Yeah.
these events sometimes go 2 or 3 days. There's camping usually involved. It's usually a lot of young people, ages from 18 to 30. There's a lot of things that happen in these events. I mean, no different than any emergency room.
Yeah, I was going to say that happens in any emergency room of any hospital or
That's
care
right.
unit.
Like
Yeah.
we literally set up, at these events.
Mhm.
A lot of your listeners might be familiar with the Travis Scott incident that happened
Mhm. Yeah, in
in
Astro World.
Astro, Atlanta. Well, that was sort of the birth of and the inspiration that birthed our company. Again, to your point, there was opportunity, right?
Mhm.
That should have never happened. That situation should have never happened. And I'm safe to say that we built a company designed
Mhm.
to never let something like that happen again. And our customer they were the victims. I mean, it was their event. Travis Scott,
Mhm.
Live Nation, that was a Live Nation event. So
Mhm.
they obviously recognized the need to be better. And
Mhm.
we were the solution. We were the better solution. And so
Yeah.
they immediately signed us up and said, we want you guys to operate our headline events and our big events all over the country. So that's what I'm doing now. So that's a lot of fun, and sort of managing that process has been 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 a lot of fun.
You're pretty cool. I love that, Leo. Like, doing something, being ready and prepared and having, and then an opportunity presents itself, and you can move right into doing that. So no, that says a lot about you as that serial entrepreneur that we talked about as we
Absolutely,
opened the
yeah,
show.
yeah,
And it's fulfilling, right? Like, like
yes,
that's a big part of it. Also, like, you stay motivated, you stay in the game, like you're not.
right.
Yeah.
That's
No,
right.
I love that. So Leo, like, now with the companies that you've had been a part of, still lead in some capacity or another, how do you define success now compared to, when you first got started? Like, is it the same? Do you still look at it kind of the same, or is it different? Has it
No,
changed over the years?
yeah, no. I think that's a good question, and a fair question. Yeah, success for me now really comes less from the workplace. I think
Mhm.
success now for me is looking down the line. My children, um, seeing them continue to grow and move forward and be successful, and setting the table for my grandchildren, helping,
Mhm.
being involved in that as a grandparent.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that. And just being there for them,
Mhm.
being a source of inspiration, being a source of entertainment, being a source of whatever I can be to
Mhm.
them is really the most important thing to me now. And that's the big difference. I think, when you're 25, 26, and starting a family, you do care about your family, of course, but you're running a million miles an hour, and you're trying to do it all, kind of thing.
Mhm.
I do think that you miss some flowers along the way, stopping and
Yeah.
sniffing and smelling, and so.
Mhm.
And I would say, the really most productive years of my life were
Mhm.
probably my late 30s through my 40s.
Okay.
That's when you really just GSD, get stuff done.
Yeah.
you know and so as you never really let off the gas, but
Mhm.
hopefully by that time, by your 50s, you're seeing some fruits of your labor,
Mhm. Yeah.
and you're really starting to now understand where this thing is going, right? And so
Right.
then when you hit your 60s, now certain things aren't as important to you as they used to be, and other things become more important. So, um, but to answer your question, I'm sorry it's a long-winded answer to your question, but
You're fine. You're fine.
the thing is, there are other things now that are more important to me than this other stuff. The other things that I'm doing are things that I need for me, but it's really now really more about those other things, my kids, my grandkids, and my family. Making sure everybody has what they need, and from me, and that everything that I can do to be there for them.
No, I love that. Man, I swear the time always seems like it goes by so quickly. So I've got to hit you with a few rapid fire questions before we close out today.
Okay.
So, what was the book that changed your thinking the most? Any book?
The book that changed my thinking, probably, I would say I read a book. I think the author is a Napoleon Hill.
Oh, no.
Grow Rich,
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, that book had a pretty profound impact on me when I read it. But I'm not I'm a reader, but I read mostly for just entertainment. I didn't do a lot of self-help books, or books looking for help that way. My business, again, I just, all of my learnings had come from practical experience. And again, I'm not discouraging anybody from reading books or doing anything like that. Please don't get me wrong, but that was my method. And again, going all the way back to my competitive days as an athlete.
Got you. Okay. So what's a habit or routine that helped you stay grounded as a CEO? Was there any habit or routine thing that you did regularly that really kind of moved the needle for you? Or
Well, the word routine, I routinely wake up, make my bed.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, every morning. I wake up, I make my bed. And one of the things that helped me, as much as I've been told it helped everybody around me, was when I get to work, I would walk the plant, and I would walk through the company, and I would greet everybody, and I would see everybody, and I would say, good morning, to everyone.
Yeah.
And there was something about it both ways that set the day for me, and people didn't actually realize that. I think that, I mean, I've been told that just those kind of simple things made a huge difference to people on a daily basis. It really did.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And it also sets the culture for your organization.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the culture of our organization was one of the keys of building the company and building it the way we did. So people liked being at work. We liked the people at work. Again, it was magical in that sense.
No, I love it. All right, last one. Give me legacy in one word.
What does that mean? Like, what's going to be on my tombstone or something? I mean,
I don't know. I asked the question. You turn it into whatever you.
Yeah, no. I think legacies honestly, I don't think about that really at all.
Okay.
I think that's forever. I think that's for other people to kind of create for you. Again, it's just, for me, it was sort of false idols, I guess, when you it's almost like chasing something. You
Mhm.
you can't really force it. I mean, I could try to make everybody like me, or I could try to make people think what I
Mhm.
want them to think or something. But that just really, one, it's not me, and two, I just am a believer that it doesn't really work that way. So
Yeah.
I think people think of you what they think of you. I think your legacy will be uh, what people how people feel. And
Mhm.
um, you can't form that yourself.
Yeah.
That's
That's on there.
yeah. So
I love it. Leo, thank you so much for coming in and doing the lab with me today. This has been amazing. Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Yeah, this is very,
Appreciate you.
yeah, and I appreciate you too. It's very impressive. I'm happy for your success. I hope it keeps growing for you. So I'll be watching.
Yeah. Thank you. I
Okay.
hate that I'm like disappearing and coming back in on this shot.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Well, stay right there because I'm gonna just close the show and then we will be off. But this has been amazing. I hope that all of you guys who and girls who have tuned in today learned something, caught something. There's so much that Leo has shared today. And this episode, make sure to share it with somebody else because there may be somebody who could benefit from some of the things that he shared with us today. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave us some comments, subscribe if you haven't already, and know that every Friday we are going to bring in a new guest and you're going to get something out of it. I promise you. You're not gonna get no junk here. We gotta make sure that everybody that comes in is worth it. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. I will see you back here next Friday. And until then, see you later.